honestly, hourly pay as a whole should, especially, I will only speak for creative, should just be gone. I hate it. I think it's so, like,
What if someone's like, yo, 95 an hour?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NOFOLD podcast. Guys, I don't know about you, but that intro music, kind of fire.
Flame, 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 flame.
And also, got to be honest with you guys, we may or may not have never heard the music before.
Never heard this.
But it's going to be there.
It's going to be dope. Yeah. Because we told ourselves that we were going to throw it in there, and we were like, yo, we're going to add that here. That's going to be our intro, right? And you're like, yeah.
So, applause for that. Wow. But I'm Ezekiel Sutton, and today I'm joined by none other than this week's special guest, first time ever on the podcast.
First time ever on the podcast.
We have
Matt Floyd.
We're so glad to have you, Matt Floyd. So tell me, what have you been doing with your life?
Bro, this ain't my first rodeo. This is my house. I invited you here.
It's actually pronounced apartment.
Okay, brother. Anyways, it's been a good week. Let's see. It's been hot. Like, really hot. So it's been hard to really try to get stuff done like the last 2 days. Like, thank God I bought air conditioning when I did, because that stuff's like on the black market now. Like, it's nearly impossible. I had a friend trying to shop for like an AC unit, like a window unit yesterday. Took him like 6 hours to find one that was like decent. And he was like on his phone just scrolling away. And I was like, bro. And he's like, dude, if I don't find one, I ain't going home tonight. Like, because he's like, it's so damn hot.
Dude,
I'm going to die.
My mom was looking around for AC units. I'm not too sure why. We have like 7. But
just for the dog.
She found an LG AC unit that someone was selling for $900. LG doesn't even sell an AC unit for $900.
Someone made that up. Someone stuck a sticker on it.
They just went supply, demand, bam. My mom found a fan that she sold at a garage sale 2 days ago for $10. She found the exact same fan on OfferUp for $50. My mom found a bladeless fan. I'm not talking Dyson. I'm talking, they said works great but needs blades. For like $85.
What is it just going to do?
It's just going to whir. It doesn't blow air or anything.
The motor's just turning.
Where do you get fan blades?
This feels so good. It's a new thing. It's the fan, or is the...
It's the mindset fan.
The bladeless
It's
fan.
the Wim Hof type beat.
That's not a Dyson. That actually doesn't work. God, dude, I couldn't imagine.
But yeah, it's hot here. And in other news...
Yeah, what's I'm trying to think. We did the Shopify thing. That was crazy. And then it looks like David Dobrik's latest episode, Triller, on the map. Triller was like,
David Dobrik's newest podcast, solid
boy.
like 6.9 out of 10.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Pretty decent,
yeah.
I gotta admit. Also, Matt, I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm kind of crippled today.
Yo, this guy. How did you even hurt yourself? This man walks in crutches, okay? Granted,
because the doctor told me to, okay?
Because the doctor told me to, I only wear crutches. No. You rebel. You're a no-folder, dude. So what do? You kick the crutches to the curb and you say, hey, mother... But like, in the most polite way, because you know you're going to get demonetized if you say it out loud. I'm not wearing those things.
Thought about just throwing them in the bush.
But then your mom was there and you're like,
bro, I couldn't do it. It's how they get you. They go, oh yeah, it looks like you're pretty injured, bro. You're gonna need these crutches for the next 7 days.
Oh my God, 7 days.
Yeah, and the crutches were a fair bit of money, so that's like stupid. But yeah, so I'm dedicated to this podcast because I had to crutch down the hallway holding a water bottle, and that was pretty epic and very loud, and I felt very awkward. But we're here now, and Matt, I wanted to jump on the podcast and talk to you about some creator news that I just found out recently.
Wow. Yep.
The amount of times he's going to do that in this podcast.
We don't have a sound machine yet, so I got to make my own sounds, guys. The sound machine is coming, everyone, okay? We're going to have one of those, like, little pads. It's like, you hit these sounds. We're going to have an applause one. I can't wait to use that.
I got to be honest, this is why we don't have guests on the podcast.
Bro,
but
it's going to be so great.
For in creator news.
Hey, keep it down out there. It's one of my dogs chewing on a freaking bone right on the door. Jeez. Okay, go ahead. Creator news.
In creator news, Colin and Samir had Eric back on their own show this last week. And Eric's most viewed video, which is what would happen if you hired 50 bodyguards, he revealed on the show that 75% of the video is dubbed over. Because they lost the audio.
Wow.
And I've tried to watch it over to find where. And they did like an insane job because it's just like you can't tell at all.
But where? So when did they lose the audio, you said?
They said 75% of the video. They said just like the Zoom, one of them was plugged in wrong and the other one was like not plugged in fully or came undone. So they had to like go back in, re-record all the lines and bring back in like the security guards who spoke the most to re-say stuff. So they literally had to rehire them just to do voiceover stuff.
Jeez. The amount of work. Holy moly.
Exactly. And it was a video that Eric was like, I don't know if this is a good idea, but I guess we'll put it out.
God, dude, that's...
But I think it segues perfectly into this week because today we're talking about creator struggles.
The struggle bus.
The struggle bus. This is the struggle bus podcast only on the NOFOLD podcast.
We're telling you just the real shit that no one wants to deal with, but you're like, yo, it happens, and this is just how you have to kind of like, this is how we got through it, I feel like.
Yeah.
There's moments. What was one of your first questions? I know you said you had a couple of questions.
Yeah, so we have a couple like questions for each other just to kind of like spark up some interest. Maybe we'll do another one of these episodes where you guys come up with the questions.
I want some questions.
You never know. It all depends on if I melt by the end of this podcast. It is hot.
Hot.
Yes.
I'm like literally like I think about like cutting a hole in one of these doors or literally just like punching a hole in this wall.
Sunroof?
And like, yo, yeah, sunroof. It's like, is there a draft in here somewhere? Because literally there's nothing in here.
You're just on the second floor, so it just goes all the way up.
Yeah.
You're just like, hi, neighbor.
Yeah, I want to open this window, but I just know there's a bunch of like downtown sound that's just going to be annoying to like have to edit out. So, hey, also, by the way, everyone, you guys don't know this. This is another creative struggle that I think is just really funny. So the last couple episodes, I've really moved my mic a lot to the point where this man over here threw a little temper tantrum and was like, hey man, can't have you touching the mic and moving it because like it's going off and like I'm trying to edit and it's making too much sound and like too many different things. And so like if you can just like put the mic down on this area and don't touch the stand or whatever. You know what I gotta say to that? Deal with it. Deal with it.
I gotta appreciate though that somehow I say don't touch the mic stand and you manage to just make noise with your mouth.
Bop, 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 bop. It's done.
He's just like, how annoying can I make this edit?
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. This is real life. This is what you're gonna get if you were in a room with us and you were having a conversation. The real. So,
that's facts.
So that was a creative struggle that I thought was really funny. But granted, it is staying put and it's doing a lot better this week. Maybe I bumped my mouth and my nose with it a couple of times, but other than that, like pretty good. Besides that one slap, but I just had to make it known to like jank. Boom. Go. Continue.
But yeah, we're talking all about today, all about creative struggles, things we've ran into, just to kind of like give our own experience to help you guys. You know, it's more like a like experience as advice thing. We don't have like the keys to success or anything, but we can just talk. You don't have those steps? Nah, bruh. Again, we're not creative pep talk. Just want to make that very clear. Andy J Pizza, you want to come on this podcast and be creative pep talk, feel free. But this question that I had kind of inspired the entire podcast because I've been thinking about it for the last like week. As you know, we do these weekly. So Matt, what is your biggest regret on your creative journey?
Biggest regret on the journey so far. That's a tough one. I don't know if I have like a true regret yet. More of just like the regret of
like what makes you think back and you just like cringe or you're like, frick, I should have done that. or like you could have gone left and you chose to go right, and if you would have gone left, you would have made Dogecoin money. Like,
I think it was when I decided to move back here from New York. I think it wasn't like it was a negative or a positive, but either way, that path of like me working for Gary Vee and VaynerMedia would have kept going forward no matter what, based off of like me as a person and that corporation. Who knows where I'd be right now if I was still there doing stuff. Granted, I'd probably continue to be pushing myself like I am here, but just in a totally different setting. So it's not really regret, but more of just like, if you could do an alternate timeline for a certain amount of time, like say like 2 years, and you're like, yo, 2 years, 2 timelines at the same time, what would happen? And like be able to see it all play out. I'd be very intrigued to see me like being like a creative director at like an agency, or like at another ad agency, like running a full team within the next like 2 to 3 years if I stayed there at that time. Like that would have been a really cool moment, because it was just something that I've always worked towards. Like most of my life is like trying to get to that next level, and like that was like the pinnacle of like agency stuff, especially working with Gary Vee. So it was super cool, but it was like, yo, what if this like doesn't work? And then in my head I was like, you know what, I should just go back to Portland, I can do my own thing. And then when I got back I was like, yo, what if I stayed? Like, what would really have happened? I don't think anything bad would have happened. I just kept pushing, and then COVID would have happened, and that would mess up the whole world no matter what. So that it is what it is. But I think that would be my most regretful / curious decision I've made. Because a lot of people are like, yo, why the hell did you leave? Like, why? And I was like, I honestly, like, I can't tell you 100%. I just knew in my gut that it was like, yo, I need to head back because I ain't me right now. Like, I'm not as creative as I used to be. Yes, I was working a ton, but that was the thing. I was just working a ton. I wasn't like stretching my creative mind, because we were just in a all-out like rush of just content that I was not actually being able to like take a step back and be like, yo, let's make something fun. Like, I couldn't think about that. So I think that's why I did it. But then I look back and I'm like, well, was there a full like bad moment that they were like, yo, this ain't for me, I'm out of here? I don't think so. I think it was just like, I felt right, and I wanted to come back to Portland. I missed my wife / fiance at the time, because I was engaged and I was over there. So I was like, yo, like, maybe not right now, but maybe in the future we'll move back. Who knows? So that's it right there, in a nutshell. Interesting. But nothing crazy. If I would have done something differently, I would have not done late night DJ videos till like 3 a.m. for like $25.
How did you do that? I
that was one of the few things, dude.
For all y'all like creatives out there, I've done my fair share of like free work in the past, but like there's a difference between like free work for exposure and then $25.
Bro,
as soon as you put a price tag on it, they ain't shouting you out. They ain't doing crap. You are an employee.
Yeah, and that's where it was like, I didn't know my worth yet. And I was just so hungry to like just make stuff that I never wanted money to come into the way of me making something cool or growing or learning something new.
Yeah.
So that's how I always looked at it. But in reality, I was like, bro, you could at least like said $100 and I still would have done it. And I'm like, I'm an idiot. I just said 25 because I was like,
that's a lunch. That's
a
lunch.
Bro, that was like dinner one night. That was like me going to Taco Bell and spending like $15. And I'm like, all right, I got enough for gas later. Luckily, I was working jobs through all this. So I wasn't just doing this. So all you creators out there that are like, yo, you can just like do this and make enough money. I'm like, you can, but you're going to live very scarce. And I didn't want to live that way. And I also had a girlfriend at the time that I was eventually going to get married to because I wanted to marry her. That I was like, yo, I can't make a living off this. So,
yeah, that's not. I think the least I've ever done something for is...
what's the least you've done? That's like still chargeable, but it's not free.
Like I still made money?
Yeah. Just curious.
I don't know if this counts, but I went and shot photos of a baby right after being born.
My worst nightmare. Just kidding.
And they said like $75. Does that work? And I was like, no, I could do like 150. And they're like, we don't have that type of money. And I was like still early on as a creative, so I was like, frig it, I'll do it for free. And then because it was a baby, why wouldn't you? And I went and just shot the baby. Some of the most weirdly Lightroom mishmash photos I've ever done. And
did you clone stamp anything? Like, did you give it like a third arm or something?
no, I just like I just the color was just all over the place. But they love the photos. And then like 2 weeks later, at church, they just walked up and handed me an envelope, and they were like $75. Here you go. And I was like, whoa! I still have it on my wall because I was like, that was the first time I ever got paid to do something creative.
Yo, it's wild. Because like one of the first jobs that I did was for this food truck, and no lie, this last Sunday they hit me up about a video that I shot for them 4 years ago. Almost, yeah, 4 years ago now. And it was like, it's good, but it's nowhere near where I'm at now. Like I look at it and I'm like, what was I doing? It's like one of those old YouTube videos that you watch and you're like, yo, who is that and who was filming that and why? Like that's not good content.
Yeah.
So like I saw it and they were like, yeah, can we get like access to that video? Cause like we still need it. And I'm like, bro, I'm down to shoot you a 10 times better video now. Like I don't want that to be like the last video that still is like meaningful to you and you still blast it out on socials. Like, I don't want to see that shit again. So like, let me help you make a whole new one. And they were like, yo, we would be so down to do that and like fully compensate you. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. So like, that's
so
the
you
full
make
circle.
A quick $50, bro.
75, man. I can't go lower than you now.
That's true. Can't go past the young dogs.
It's wild. Like, I did do that stuff, and it's so funny. And people are like, why would you do that? You're valuable. And I was like, yes, it is. But at the same time, like, I look back at that work, and I'm like, bro, I wouldn't have paid $200 for that shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I don't think people understand is that, like, you got to be good. And like good will get you to like greatness and to success of what you're doing. But if you're average or just below average, why would someone pay you a stupid amount of money to market?
I think it's a generational thing though.
Like,
I honestly like, well, for one, like I started my creative like getting paid journey as soon as I got out of high school. But I have never charged like really low for anything because I realize through like, I do like a lot of work in a church I used to do a lot with him, but I realized I was like swinging with these, like with you and with other people who were charging like thousands of dollars for shoots. And I'm like, if they are coming to me and asking me for my help or saying this, like my stuff's good, why should I be charging any less than they do? You know, that's where I'm like, if they're already valuing themselves at that, I can just value myself there too, because we're on the same level.
True. But question, how many clients have you actually had and been successful with and still have to this day?
I lost one client to Fiverr pretty recently. It was pretty rough. I got kind of upset, but it was fine.
That's tough. But that's it? Like, how many clients have you had to date?
Well, you know me, bro. I post YouTube videos. So like,
well, see, that's the whole catch. That's the catch-22, though.
See, if I back in the day when I was doing client work and that was something like I enjoyed doing, it's not really something I enjoyed too much anymore because like it's client work for me is weird. It's like that's one of my biggest creative struggles. Is like not a lot of like I end up being really right and no one listens, so it gets really annoying.
Maybe
I'll be
you're
like,
just not picking the right clients.
I know, but at the same time, like. Client work is something I enjoy, but like I feel like for me, I enjoy more like a brand deal type relationship with a client. Like if Honey was like, "Hey, you have 30 seconds, do whatever," that's fun.
But what I'm saying is, has that happened?
Not yet. I mean, I'm still working on the YouTube. So I mean, for me, it's like working with like the client. I have one client right now. I work for a guy at a restaurant, but like having that client just to supplement everything else that I do is like really nice. You know, because like client work I enjoy, but like I also enjoy like having a say. So I feel like for me, it's like if I was like to work on YouTube, like build that clout, you know?
Yeah.
And then people are like, we're hiring you for you. We're
I can
not
see
hiring you just as another videographer or another
Yeah.
cinematographer, you know?
Yeah. No, like I totally get that. My mindset was like, you can never not do too many videos. You can never not do too much work.
Depends on what kind of work, though.
Yes. Like work that you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the reason I didn't turn down stuff is because I knew every time I made an edit, it would get better.
Yeah.
So the more I could do that, that's the 10,000 hour rule that I'm a firm believer in.
Yeah.
That like you don't reach a perfection or a level of like greatness until you put in the time, like serious time. The no fun, no like cameras are looking, no like, oh, I'm hanging out with my friends on the weekend and we're like living it up with my paycheck here and there. Like the no fun zone.
Yeah.
Like it just sucks. Subtitling videos for like 20 hours straight. I've had to do that before. And it's not fun, but what it does is every time stuff like that happens, it's like, yo, I'm getting better and better at something that I want to be the best at. That's it. So at the end of the day, for me, it's like you can throw a money sticker on like whatever you want, but until you show me like the amount of stuff you've created and what that path looks like this is where I started, here's my videos, here's my creative, here's my execution on brand stuff to where I'm at now. Yo, cool, but like you're like, this is what I have to talk to my own brothers about. Like you're just in that same boat as everyone else. Talks a big game and says, yo, I deserve $1,000 because people are coming to me about stuff. They're coming to you about stuff because there's also like a sense of like thinking outside of your own brain. So like I know you're creative in a way that I'm not creative. So I'm gonna reach out to you in ways that I wouldn't reach out to someone else because I'm gonna say, yo, Zeke's gonna have the brain capacity to like think through this in this spectrum, whereas I'm not gonna think that way. So maybe he's gonna add something to this that I don't think about. Like that's the cool part. That's the cool part about like good friends out there that you're working with that have that kind of mindset rather than just be like, yo, like, so when are you going to do something? Because like, I want to be a part of it. It's like, cool, but you're just riding my coattail. Like, why don't you be doing something and we getting better at what we do each other, challenging each other week after week. This is why we made the podcast, is like, we're always trying to push the limit of what we can physically do and what we want to creatively do. So that's where I'm at. It's tough because I've had people like, oh, why do you do something for $25? It's not about the money for me. Money was just like, a lot of people don't think about something. Like you're not just going to give someone something for free without them expecting something in return.
Yeah.
It's like human psychology. So it's like, if you throw $25 on it, they're like, well, this is only a $25 video. That's how most people think. I don't think of it that way. I think of like, okay, this is a video that, yes, it's good. It could be better, but I don't know how much better it can become until I actually do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's like always been the kicker for me, and that's where it's like I still make videos to this day that are probably way underpriced than other people would say and be like, why are you charging that? Like, it's so dumb. Well, because I do a million other things that make $1 million other dollars for me. Not exactly $1 million yet, but I'm working on it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like this is like my livelihood. Like if it was my livelihood, probably a different story. But I know in my head that I'm going to survive on all these other like streams of income, that this right here, I can continue to get better at. And I don't need to have the like level to have the parameter level to be how much I make from a video rather than just me make shit until it finally fucking pops. And then that's when people are like, yo, he's making a movie and he's doing that with what budget? What? And then that's when people are like, yo, we need that guy here because he's thinking outside the box rather than just the biggest paycheck in the building. That's the end of the spiel.
That was a spiel, bro.
But I'm passionate about it because so many people, like, they're just like, why? And it's almost like they're looking down on me. And it's not that I have like a chip on my shoulder. I'm just like, no, like, there's so much opportunity out there and so many people don't try because they're like, yo, they're not willing to pay me for it. And granted, yeah, like if that's your livelihood, yes.
I think it's all a mindset thing. I think it all comes down to if you're someone who's like, I'm not going to do that thing unless it's paid, that's a whole different mindset than saying, I understand my worth. I cannot do that thing unless it's paid. You know? Like, I feel like everyone as a creative understands it. It's like if you get the opportunity to like collab with someone, but you have to pay for the flight, you're going to pay for the flight if it's a good enough collab or whatever. Or if you get to edit a video for a super famous artist and they'll post it no matter what it is because they like your work, they just won't pay you. You're going to do it because of the exposure most of the time. Like stuff like that is like cool, but I feel like in a lot of other like regards, it's like sometimes it's just not smart to take like work for smaller for a brand that doesn't like give you any like benefit outside of that, you know, like if you're working for like a small place and it's like I think on the come up though, I think it is a flex when you're coming up, like starting a creative journey, like to be like, I got paid $25 to do that. And I just started doing this 3 months ago. Like that's a flex.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're like 5 years deep in it and you're like, I got paid $150,
Yes.
it's like, that's on you now.
And that's back to the hours of experience you put in.
Yeah.
Like if you've been doing this shit for 5 to 7 years, then hopefully, by God, you're good at what you do. Because if not, then you might need to pick another path. 'Cause
Seriously.
it's just like, that's a lot of time. So that's where it's like, I understand that completely. It's when you're like just starting out and you're like, you have some very good, like natural, like abilities with certain things and certain technical stuff that you're like, wow, like that person just picked it up way faster than the average person does. They're gifted in that way. Awesome. Like use that to your advantage. That doesn't mean you're Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're Picasso and you're just making the next big Beeple painting. Like, no, it's just more of something like, yo, you're going to get better at it. You have a knack for it. Get really good at it and like take crazy amount of jobs if you can to still live. That's where I believe Gary Vee stuff, where some other stuff I'm just like, yo, that's wild. Like I ain't doing that and stuff. But it was something that he was like, yo, like don't overestimate the value of like doing work for little to nothing, because like people see that, and if they see greatness in you and they see like how good you are and they see that you're not doing it for the money, then that's when they're like, yo, come work for me. And that's the next, like, that's not like building the ladder in an agency. That's like going here and then throwing the freaking like Batman thing up to the top and zip lining up. Like that's immediately when they see it, because they're like, yo, this guy ain't here for the money. He's here for us to be successful and to do really cool shit. Now that's where you're going to get. So
I think it's a balance. I think it's a
balance of like a balance beam.
Kind of. Honest. Well, I feel like it's like for me, creative hot take / struggle bus.
Hot take.
Honestly, as a creative, hourly pay is the dumbest thing ever and shouldn't be allowed. Like genuinely.
Yeah, as an industrial thing.
Like
the Industrial Revolution.
Honestly, hourly pay as a whole should, especially, I will only speak for creative, should just be gone. I hate it. I think it's so like
What if someone's like, yo, $95 an hour? You're like, that's dumb.
Hear me out. Imagine you're getting paid $95 an hour. Let's just say 20, so it's easier math for our NOFOLD melting in the hot sun brains. You are getting paid like $20-$30 an hour, and you have to edit, let's say, a podcast, or you have to edit a YouTube video, you have to edit multiple YouTube videos, or a TikTok. Hourly pay encourages you to be slower, because you make more money the longer that you exchange time for it.
So yes, I see that mindset.
I hate that, because like it's like if I'm editing a video, the client is the only one who wins if I edit that video faster. If I take 6 hours to edit that video, the client gets a great video. I get like X amount of money. If it's like $30 an hour, I get $180. If I can edit that video in 3 hours, the client still gets the exact same video. I only get half the amount of money. Or you just say, yo, bro, $200 for this video. And then if you get it done in 3 hours, you still make the money that you think you're worth.
Yeah. That's why you don't ever show them like how much it is an hour.
Exactly.
You like how I do every project is people are like, yo, like how many hours this is going to take? Because hourly pay is the efficient way for like tax benefits and like 1099s to not throw you on like a W-2 or W-4 salary. Like that's where it's like, that's why hourly exists. So like I see it from like a 1099 like freelancer, like tax-free stuff point of view. And so what you do is you don't say, hey guys, like this is a cool edit. It's going to take me about like, you can tell them, you can be like, yo, it's going to take me about like 5 hours. And they're like, all right, cool. Reality is like that one video can actually take me an hour.
Exactly.
But I told them 5 because I know I'm going to put a cushion on myself. So like that's where you got to be good at like not sales, but like selling yourself. And I think a lot of creatives don't do that at all. Creatives just think like, and that's why I'm not truly a creative. I'm more of like a performance creative. So I think of like, okay, how can I like benefit the most use of this time? Which is why like for you to say like, I'm just going to like lag on this job or lag on this project because it's going to take, I want it to be paid by the hour. So if I'm like getting paid only so much an hour, I'm going to take that project and do it for 7 hours to get more money from it. My brain is the exact opposite. My brain is like, bro, you are wasting your time right now when in reality you could be getting another deal or another job with someone else. Go ahead and clock this shit out at like 2 hours and get it done. And then poof, next one.
Yeah.
Boom. Like that's how my mind works. Whereas like you said, and I've never thought about it that way, where it's like the opposite of a mindset like that is to like, I'm going to take as long as I can to get the most amount of money for this because I know there's more work out there. That's my problem. I know there's another job out there. I know there's another client that needs this shit, especially in today's age.
I mean, it's
like
but it still like balances out, you know. If you do like 2-hour video for this amount, and then you switch over to the next client, you do another 2 hours. Like it's still like at the end of the day, you're still like just cranking out more content, but then you're actually putting in more work to get an equal amount of money because you have to like, you know, it's so weird.
Yeah, that's
like,
where you gotta value yourself at like how much you're actually worth.
Yeah,
like. You're not going to value yourself at $30 an hour. You're going to value yourself at $65 an hour.
Yeah. It's like creative work is like one of those things where for me, like for one, people they always underestimate the number. Always. You're like, oh yeah, so we'll do this much. Like
always coming high.
Like that client I missed out on Fiverr. I was like, yo, so.
Bro, you got beat by Fiverr.
Yeah, because it's a race to the bottom.
It's so funny. Yes, I know. It's so true. But I just think it's so funny with Fiverr. It's like, yo, those guys, like, I just see someone, like, straight up just on their computer. I can do it in 5 minutes for $5. And you're like, fuck, I can't beat that. Like, give it to them.
Dude, exactly. Like, it's so, like, I don't understand it.
But it's not really true creative. It's just copy and paste.
Yeah.
It's like what one of our friends says, the plug and play method. It's like easy.
Yeah.
Like already templated out
They just
stuff,
go use
like,
a template.
Yeah. And it's like, cool. Like if that's for you, awesome. But you don't want true creative then. You just want something that's creative, not creative approach.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just different than what a person would throw just text on a screen and be like, yeah, here's your ad. It's like, no, like give me a cool picture, give me a cool design. That's like, okay, that's just like subjective creative that you can throw out on Fiverr.
Yeah.
And someone can make something.
And I think that's why it's a generational shift. Is like your generation. I mean, you jumped in this creative stuff around the same time I did, or kind of, but like the older-ish creative generation had to deal with that whole thing of just like the templates and all that stuff, and like the newer generation sees the templates and is like, that's a template. Like
yeah.
I'm not gonna charge less than this amount because you're getting my experience, my work, my brain, my like it is so much more than just like flipping patties or like whatever else you do. That's just like you are literally paying for just their time.
Yes,
like, there's so much more to it when it comes to being a creative, and that's why like I feel like I like value myself a lot higher. Yeah, because I'm just like I know for a fact my brain doesn't stop thinking, especially when it comes to if I'm given a project or an idea. It's like you are getting me 24/7, even if or you think you're only paying or you're paying so much, you are literally getting me for the length of this project. Yeah, nonstop.
What I could say is like, this is a question for you. Are you just like tripling down on one thing and being really good at that, or are you trying to like diverse into multiple different creative things to be really good at all those things? Or is it just like one or two things and that's it? And then that's where you value your pride and your money and everything from?
I only diversify if there's a reason for it.
Like I'm the exact opposite, as you know, but
Yeah.
just curious.
I only so like YouTube, heart and soul. That's what I love to do. That's where I like put in a lot of my effort, even if it doesn't really show. But my brain.
I was about to say, I was like, where them video though?
we should get a compilation of every time I've said that and every time you've go. I was about to say. But I need to finish my video so I can make an update and say that I'm in a boot and it ruined my summer and my life is over. But I like for this podcast, like I feel like I diversified into this podcast because I wanted it as an encouragement to continue to make like content and to continue to use it as a place to be like, oh, well, I couldn't upload this on my channel, but I could do it on the NOFOLD channel.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to be dealing with audio. I might as well use this as an ability to learn audio, bring in people who know more than I do, teach me how to do stuff. You know, it's just like diversify with a purpose. Like I have this one client because of the fact that I have more creative control. And it pays my bills. So I can keep doing YouTube. I can keep coming to do this podcast. Like I am okay. So I mean, like, I feel
Unless
like
you get like hella bills.
Yeah.
You're like,
there's a rhyme and a reason for just wanting to learn like everything, but I've found that if you learn everything, you forget that there's other people that know those things too.
yeah.
Like,
100%.
if you learn like 50 things in like the span of 3 months because you needed to, you're like, oh crap, I could have hired. Oh crap, I totally have the money to just like hire an assistant or hire a graphic designer or hire this. Like you like totally could have built a team, but like when you just know everything, your brain's just like, no, we don't need that, bro. We can do it to like 50% of their quality, and that's all we need.
Yeah. So that right there, like you hit the nail on the head with why I do what I do now. I'm not an expert at one thing, but more of just understanding that workflow, understanding that world. In the essence of like, if you gave me 1,000-foot view, I could show you what this and this is. Could I tell you exactly why it does what it does for a reason and why it's supposed to help the client every time? Probably not. That's where I'm like, yo, but we have a developer. Yo, we have a designer. Yo, we have this guy. But if anything ever happens and the client's like, I want this, but I don't know how to tell that person this, that's when they come to me and I go, yo, you know what? You actually are talking about this, right? And they're like, yes, no one's getting it. Cool. Go to designer. Designer, yo, I need this in a certain dynamic template, actually created in layers, given back to me in just a Photoshop file. No vectors, no PNGs, just all Photoshop files. Oh, dope. Okay. Click. Hey, client, are you happy with this? Yes. Boom. $10,000 more next month that they're going to pay for us to be their agents or agency. That's the stuff that's gold, that I'm not actually like going in there and doing all the actual shit that needs to be done. Granted, I am here and there to get better at what I'm doing right now when it comes to like paid media, SEO, different things that I'm like, yo, this is a wild world and it's massive. I'm not building like HTML websites. But if you were to say like, hey, we need an HTML website, I'd be like, you know what? Have you looked at this? Have you set up your DNS? And have you got a actual hosting and domain registrar set up? They're like, no. I don't have to go to so-and-so and be like, hey, what's this? Hey, what's that? And then be like, okay, client, yeah. Like, I don't have to do any of that shit once I know what it is. It's just a matter of knowing it, but not being the best at it. That's why I love doing what I do, because that's the program manager / project manager's duty, is just to know that world, figure out what's working, what's not, and continue that progression forward, rather than just be like, oh yeah, we're just going to spin our wheels for the next 3 months because no one really knows where we're at and why we're doing what we're doing. That's what most people are just working to do, is just working and doing their job very well, which is awesome. My brain just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So, but to your point, it's really cool to see it the opposite way of like, hey, like this is something that I'm really passionate about and I'm going to be really good at this and I don't really need to diversify myself into all these other things. That's cool. Like we need people just like that, just as much as you need people that are very diversified across all platforms. I just was like, yo, like I know I'm not going to be the best video editor. Like, I watch YouTube videos. You watch good people, you're like, that's a lot of hours. That's a lot of time and a lot of years that they put into seeing something like that being made. I don't want to do that. Granted, it'd be cool to say I could do that eventually, but I don't want to spend that much time doing that. Because, like, at the end of the day, that's not, like, what makes me happy is making an awesome video. It's more of, like, helping the next person with their business or building this or starting a merch line or starting this podcast. Like, that's fun for me because it's, like, it's unknown territory, unknown waters. And I'm like, yo, that's the NOFOLD mindset. It's like, all right, cool. Get our floaties, get our oars. We're just going to start fucking going and we're going to get somewhere. And then eventually we're going to look up and be like, yo, look how far we've gone already. And it's like, oh, but like we got this mast just chilling in the back row right here. And you're like, bro, put it up. Shoo, now we're fucking sailing. Like that's the stuff that's fun. Cause then that's when you figure stuff out and it's like hacks. And then it just gets so much more efficient down the road that it's almost like highway robbery at some point, because then us as the creatives know what's going to make us money. And it's just like, but we've creatively done it so well now that it's like, yo, it's not even a nuisance or a problem or a headache for us. It's like, yo, this is going to pay us another 10 grand. Yo, we need 10 grand for this video. Okay, cool. Let's write this down. Let's reach out to this person. Let's hit this sales team up. Let's hit this brand up. We know they're going to do this. Like that's when like you're building shit, and that's where it's just like everyone's just like, how is he just making videos? Like that's all they see, but they don't see all this other stuff that's like building in the background that's just like taking over. Like you're kicking down the door to a house. It's not like, hey, we want to work together. It's like, no, you're actually in my house now. Let's go like upstairs. We're gonna get shit done. That's the cool shit. So I know I elaborated a ton, and I just picked it up because I'm going for it, dude.
You said 1,000-foot view, and then proceeded to sky bomb into the ground at 100 miles an hour.
Ooh, yeah.
And I just sat there on the grass, getting my nice little grass allergy, going, "Oh wow, that's a big crater you left there, Matt Floyd."
Okay, so but now the floor is yours, though. So like, what do you say about?
Do you have any questions for me?
I gave you that question, remember?
Yeah, you gave me that one.
Oh, yeah. The other question. Sorry, I was forgetting we had two. I think my other one was in the scheme of like what you're doing creative now. What would you do if like you were just starting out in today's like time right now as a creative? If it was like video, photo, you had a camera and you wanted to do YouTube, what would you say to someone that's just starting now that's like, yo, it's way too late, YouTube's taken over, or like, wow, like anyone can create a channel nowadays, but it's that 1 out of a million person? Like, is it really 1 out of a million, or is it actually possible to like grow to that next level in today's age for like YouTubers, especially like something you're passionate about?
I gotta appreciate that the future of YouTube is within friendship. I feel like that's really cool going into like I feel like there was like the groups, like the FaZe clans and the Clout Houses and the Sidemen, you know, like back in the day where it's like, wow, that can never happen. But now like the only way to grow now is just like to find your friends.
You said back in the day?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're still relevant.
I'm gonna tear that whole idea up, actually. Yo, cut that out. Like, don't. Yeah, that whole like hype house thing. Yeah. Let's not do it anymore. Continue.
Hype house irrelevant. But I feel like it's like you see all these content creators blow up not because of like them, but it's because of like the people they have around them, whether it be their girlfriend or their friends or their group of friends or their roommates or like stuff like that. Like these people are able to like just have fun and just like enjoy it. And I mean, I feel like that's also attributed to like the COVID stuff too. People are like, wow, they're hanging out with people that I want to do that. But at the same time, like it's still stayed and people are enjoying it. So I feel like if like my best advice for like anyone who wanted to be a YouTuber, and it's something that I'm trying to like follow too, is just like start from the very your close-knit people and then just go out farther. Grab your friends, say you want to film a YouTube video, film it once with them. If they go, that was awkward, I never want to do that again, okay, cool, axe them off the list and then find more people. Go on Discord, go to the middle of the street in a town and see if anyone like goes like, oh, you YouTuber, and then just like pull them in your video, you know, like stuff like that. Like find like-minded people who are just down to just film with you because they enjoy it just as much as you do, and like that will like not only will it like push you to make better content and make just content in general, because it's really hard to do like creative stuff alone.
Yeah.
It just
easy.
makes it like 10 times more fun just to like do stuff, even if it's just like I was telling my friend recently who's like wanting to be a gaming content creator. I was like, just like, if you don't want to film alone, just film whatever you're going to do alone and just be in a Discord call with a bunch of people and screen share it. Just have them commentate over your stupidness. Like, you know, like you'll have more fun and the video will be more entertaining because you'll have 3 or 4 other different perspectives on whatever weird Flash game you're playing or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I feel like that's what people need to think about moving forward. And I feel like there's other things, like you can succeed as like a solo creator, but not really anymore.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to pull someone in, whether it be an interview or this or that.
Yeah, something intense or something like earth-shattering.
Yeah, your video has to be really good in order for it to just be you in the voice and you behind the camera and stuff like that.
So like that whole idea of like just like isolating yourself and like just sticking to yourself and sticking to what you know best and stuff, that's like good and all for like spur of the moment things, but not the longevity of like a platform or something like that, or like your career. Like you definitely need people, and anything I've learned is like, yo, you need like people around you every level. Dude, the wild dogs.
We wait.
See, you hear them, dude. They go. It's wild. Like I'll have to film it and throw it into one of these episodes because it's like brought to you by National Geographic, and it's literally like seeing them in slow motion, just like teeth, and they're just like, and you hear all the sounds. You're like, oh my god, is something dead? And they're like, they just go down and lay down and just like drink water, and it's like nothing. Just it's crazy. These are the only types of dogs that do this. I haven't seen other dogs do this. Like I don't see Chihuahuas doing this shit. Like it's crazy, but I'll show you. It's funny.
Genuine animals.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Right now, we're starting in my second office right now. Like, this is going to continue to blow up because we're trying, we're pushing, and we're elevating each other this whole journey. Like, it's a matter of time before it actually does transcend to that next level. Without us even, like, thinking about it or doing big moves, it's more of us continuing to grow, and before you know it, it's like the brick by brick thing. And then it's like half a year later, it's like, fuck, look how many bricks we've already laid. How we're already at. Let's go. Keep going. And then that's like what builds it up even faster and ramps you up is because you're like, holy shit. Like we've been doing this for long enough that's like, it's going to work. So then we won't have to be in my second office. We'll actually have an AC studio maybe. And then we'll actually have like people that come in and like start filming stuff with us. And then we have our own little like NOFOLD show. And it's
we need a studio. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to say it right now.
Get us a studio. If anyone out there is just like I should say Portland because we don't want to drive to like California for a studio. But we could for like a guest episode or something. I would be down to do that and do like a on the road.
Regardless of any shout outs, I'm just going to say it right now. NOFOLD. We'll have a studio we'll come back after like Thanksgiving break to a brand new studio.
My man, this guy throwing out like just giant bids. Okay, cool.
Because I'm hot and I need AC.
Bro,
I don't know if I can last any longer.
Actually, Matt, we're just gonna move to my house because I got AC in my other room and we're gonna use it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's by Thanksgiving. That's where we'll be at. No, but that's good. I like that. By like Thanksgiving, like we're at the next level. We're kind of like throwing that bet out there and seeing if it actually holds. So I like it. Well, I mean. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I know we're probably way over time.
Yeah, I wanted to say, Matt, thank you for coming on to the NOFOLD podcast, being a guest here. I'm so glad to have you. You know, I honestly thought you did pretty great. So I think we'll have you back next week, if that's all right with you. Are you available? Are you free?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll have enough space. I think this room is available. I don't know. I'm renting it out on like WeWork right now, and it's like, it's tight, man.
Yeah, we work in here. So glad to have you on the podcast. So ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Guest Matt Floyd will be back next week on the NOFOLD podcast.
Peace out.